on LinkedIn Live and streaming across a few platforms. So if we can't respond to the comments in real time, we can respond right after the broadcast. But thanks for joining. My name is Nick Livingston. I'm one of the co-founders of Hone It, a lifelong recruiter and talent partner, and really excited to talk about recruiter collaboration today. Andy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Andy Riaboken, systems engineer turned executive search consultant, and back to building stacks. I've had great experience in both building wide area networks for professional services organizations and doing high level searches. Really excited about sharing my 3 decades of experience with you and show you best practices and how we handle split networks. So go ahead, Nick, back to you.
Awesome. So everybody's familiar with the term split networks. The concept isn't new. It's been around for decades. And why are they important? I think we'll touch on that. We want to also touch upon where they went wrong and why split networks have historically been super challenging. And then at the end, we're going to show you some new techniques today to enable clear communication and collaboration and motivate both parties to work on your recs or to talk to your candidates. So I guess to start off, though, split networks, why are they important? Well, we're talking to a lot of recruiters today who are struggling. Maybe they only have one side of the equation. They've been talking to amazing candidates but don't have recs, or maybe they have recs and they just don't have the bandwidth or the expertise or the candidates to fill those jobs. Well, split networks are that collaboration that bring two parties together, even if you're not working in the same agencies or firms, to be able to make more money, grow your business, find new revenue streams. So the concept of splits isn't new. But where splits have broken down, that's something that there's an opportunity to improve, and we'll show you that today. So I see it every day on LinkedIn, as most of you probably do, where you see a post from a friendly recruiter who says, even if they're just trying to help and not ever even trying to do splits, to say, hey, I just spoke with this amazing fill in the blank candidate. Okay, let's break that down and unpack what actually has to happen to get someone else to talk to that person and submit them or share them with the client. They have to respond to the person who said they know a candidate. That person has to then send them a scrubbed resume or something to communicate what the person is or who the person is or what their background is. The new recruiter has to then reach out to the candidate, explain the situation, try to get on their calendar or book a 15-minute screening call to have the same conversation the first recruiter did. And if you've got 17 recruiters who think the candidate looks good, you've got now 17 conversations that need to happen with that same candidate. That's a lot of friction. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of effort. That's why this idea of, hey, trust me, I've got this great candidate, never seems to go anywhere, even if you're just trying to help a friend find a job, right? And so even all the good stuff in the post of, hey, I just spoke with an amazing free candidate, here's their name or here's their resume. It requires so much work on the other end that's where things break down. Andy, any thoughts on just how that could work, whether you're talking about an open job that's amazing or whether you're talking about an open candidate that's amazing? Where's the friction and why can't we get those people together historically?
Yeah, Nick, I tell you, this is an old problem, and the thing is, all you have is trust. If you understand this, you look at what the big recruiter networks are that out there, MRI, NPA, Top Echelon, all these folks. What do? They create an association, right, with the people, so they build trust in. That's why they go do their annual events in Tampa, and everyone goes and parties and gets drunk and has a good time and presses some palms, because they build trust there. It's not in the process, okay? And today, the entire split network only hinges on trust. Hey, I've met Bob. I'm going to trust him because I know his recs are always good. Why can't we make a process out of that? Why can't we bake that in to a system, process, workflow, or an organization that we can say, hey, I don't need to go crank beers with you to trust you. You do good work. What about supporting the people that do good search work, right? Do a great intake call, Nick, okay? When they take that intake call from a hiring manager, what do I want to know as a person who's going to be on the delivery model? Is this a real rec, right? Do I have access to the hiring manager? Will you pay my fee 10 days after start? There's a 30-day guarantee. I need to hear those things directly from the hiring manager who's going to pay his check, where I'm going to go pick up the phone and do his work, all right? And that it requires more than just a handshake over a tuna sandwich and a beer. Okay, it has to be baked in the process. And again, what I've seen consistently throughout all these um, recruiting networks that I have worked with and been part of for 30 years is there is no trust to the process. Unless we really hear it, we don't believe it. So if you bake that into the process, Nick, your outcome is going to be much better. So go ahead.
That's great. And it makes me think that even happens within agencies. I'll never forget being in an agency and an account manager or salesperson comes across to our side of the desk, the delivery side or recruiting side of things, and shakes a job description, says hot rec. And you're
Correct.
like, I've got 10 recs in front of me that are also hot recs. Why am I going to stop what I'm doing to reprioritize based on what this person who I genuinely don't believe or agree with or incentives are not aligned to stop what I'm doing and working on this rec? So, I mean, even with strangers or recruiters out in separate companies, it exasperates it, right? It becomes even
Exactly.
more of a disconnect. So I think let's shift to today to talk to about a couple of techniques where when you talk to an amazing hiring manager and hear about an amazing open job, yet you don't have the resources, you don't have the bandwidth, you don't have the recruiters, you don't have maybe that expertise or candidate pipeline for it, how can we get other, recruiters who we have shaken hands with or trust, and or all of the other recruiters who may be experts in this field to work on our rec and be motivated to work on our rec. So a couple of techniques, and then we'll show you on the candidate side of things. As you talk to an amazing candidate and you don't have a role or rec for them, what can we do to make it clear that the candidate's amazing, well spoken, and build that trust in our delivery process for splits as well. So here we can just see it's easy to create a project around all of those great hiring manager intake calls we have. And if there's a conversation or a kickoff call or intake call you had that you just cannot support with your resources and you want to open it up, this is where you could easily select one of those conversations and share some insights with your split network. So in this case, you could select a sub brand within your agency or use client brandings, whatever brand you want. I'll do a general your company branding here. And again, we can just select those 3 or 4 insights about why the job is open, what's exciting about the job, what are the key skills. And these are the excerpts or quotes right from the hiring manager from my video call with them 2 minutes ago, right? Now, we recognize you want to protect the identity of your client until you come to terms with the split partner and make sure you agree on that fee. But this is where we can hide the name of the hiring manager, we can hide their photo, we can remove the video. Maybe this is what we would share with candidates to get them excited, but maybe we want to hide the name of the client in this case or the video. And then this is where we can create a link to meet the hiring manager. And again, we're not sharing our entire call. We're just sharing those insights that we uncovered from that conversation. And so this is a job preview, and we can instantly create a link that includes not only the snippets or sound bites of our call, right, the actual audio answers of the hiring manager telling us these things, but a summary and even a transcript of each answer, right? And this is where we can Slack this link to our split network, right? And say, just spoke with a great hiring manager, hot rec. But in this case, what are we going to share with them? We're actually sharing insights that those recruiters can quickly hear, and then they can determine if this is a hiring manager they would want to work with, or it's a hiring manager that would mesh well with the candidates that they've recently spoken with. Andy, I'm going to pause there. What do you think about this idea of sharing data to improve collaboration amongst recruiters?
Look at that's what we've been talking about here today is let's replace data. Let's replace trust with data. Okay. Let's replace trust with data. And Nick, maybe we should paste that into a chat or maybe play that in the background just so the audience can hear. It makes all the difference in the world when you hear it directly from the source. Okay. There's no more that, oh boy, am I going to work for free for a month, right? So this takes away all that fear and anxiety out of the process. And again, this is how you build in trust into the system by sharing data. So this is a best practice. Again, you can make multiple you can do multiple things here. One, you can hear the business side, right? I can hear my fees, my reporting structure, my guarantees, etc. You don't have to share that with the recruiting network, or you don't have to share that with the candidate, that's for sure, right? But you still have that you can share to the outside. And then here, this is another great thing that we can share with candidates, our delivery partners, to say, hey, I've got a real relationship, this is a real rec, and they're going to respond to me. This is why this is a best practice. And Nick, I know we got to be cognizant of time. Let's move on to let's wrap this up, and let's move on to the candidate presentation, because you get the same thing on the candidate side as well.
That's right. So this is just a link. Again, you can paste it via Slack to your network. You can email blast it to your recruiter network. You can paste it in a Facebook network. Again, it's bringing this job opportunity to life. We're still protecting the identity of our client and hiring manager, but we're sharing the interesting things they said or told us about the job, right?
Audio's not going.
Okay, audio's not working. But then again, we can copy these links and just even paste them to individual recruiters and partners through LinkedIn and things like that. So let's show the other side of this. So what about if you've been talking to some amazing candidates and you just don't have the active rec? It happens all the time in recruitment, especially now that things have slowed down and people are tightening up on the recs with outbound agencies. Well, if I created a project here, I could easily add all these amazing sales candidates to a project in Honeit. And then when you find a few, maybe your runner-up candidates or maybe a few that are active and still looking and you just don't have the recs, you could put a couple of those amazing candidates onto a link and showcase those insights to recruiters who might have recs available, right? So in this case, we've got Susan and Andy, both really talented folks. You could select whichever conversations you want, right? And you might have talked to them multiple times over the last couple of months. But again, we may not want to share Susan and Andy's name and photo and resume off the bat because we want to protect that identity until we find a split partner willing to accept our terms. So in this case, I can click the reduce bias button, instantly hide the candidate's name, photo, resume, LinkedIn URL. You'll notice it also parsed it from the instant summaries we created from these highlights from our screening conversations. Okay, so we can now include just a few of those great answers about marketing or sales or technology that they told us and do that with each candidate's. And this is where we can create a link to say meet the active candidates or meet the available candidates, right? You've already done the work, you've already talked to them, you sourced them, you screened them, etc. Now we can instantly share them, right? Again, pick whatever agency brand you want. If you have multiple brands, no problem. You can even use client brands. And this is where we can bring those candidate presentations to life, right? And share data to get split partners excited about it, and they don't have to rescreen the candidate. So in our situation earlier, hey, just spoke with a great candidate. Well, what do we got to do? We got to talk to them again and have the same conversation another 5 times. So this link could also easily be slacked to your split network or shared in your Facebook Marketplace group or slacked or emailed to a specific recruiter to say, hey, I've got these 2 candidates. Don't trust me. Listen to the data from my conversation.
And Nick, look at the value, right? Look at the value add. It's better than someone just throwing over a redacted resume. How awful. I mean, when you send over a redacted resume, that means I don't trust you, right? You're just basically saying that. And what happens here is again, what we can do is give them the data to make them make a business decision. Do I want to present this candidate? That's a decision they got. My reputation's on the line. Will I present this candidate? I can listen to it and I can say, yes, I vouch for this candidate. And all I had to do was listen to the interview that was already conducted. So I don't have to push it out a week and I don't have to make him come on to do another Zoom interview, right? I can listen to it and say, hey, sounds good to me. Let's send them in. And this is how you build that instant collaboration and you solve the problem of trust with data.
That's great, Andy. Yep. Conversations are essential for the work we do as recruiters, talking to hiring managers about opportunities, talking to candidates about what they want to be doing. all of these conversations contain data and insights that it's our job to uncover. Now, the question is, what can we do after a conversation to, again, motivate and share data with our split partners, right? And I think that's what we're excited about here. And that's where we're really excited about helping recruiters who are struggling right now find these new revenue streams and showcase and market these available candidates that they just don't have active rec for. So I think this is the kind of the call to our industry. How are we going to work together as external recruiters, or even external recruiters and internal recruiters, to get through this, work a little smarter, monetize our conversations, and really elevate our profession? So thanks, everybody. Nick and Andy with Hone It. We're going to be doing these kind of 15-minute Hone It hacks each week, talking about really great opportunities and easy ways to improve the recruiter experience. Thanks all.